Unbelievable. Unbelievable. We are going to make America great again. Unbelievable. Look at these people. Can you see up there? That is a long way. That's a lot of people. So, I was just informed there's a line 4 miles long of cars outside trying to get in. So what we'll do, we'll wait. No, I'm only kidding. We had to make a decision. We have to get started. But there's a lot of people pouring in right now. So, it's been an amazing period. From June 16th, coming down the escalator, that famous escalator ride, and I made a speech and I talked about illegal immigration. Nobody was talking about it, right? Nobody was talking about it. We spoke about it openly and plainly, and wow, did something happen. And for 2 weeks, then 3 weeks, and 4 weeks, I said, it can't continue like this. Am I supposed to go on like this? And then I doubled down. And Rush Limbaugh said, this guy actually went out and he doubled down. And I turned out to be right. And now the politicians, meaning the other candidates, all politicians, all funded by oil, by drug companies, by other people that want a lot of things. I'm self-funded. I'm doing my own. When I fly in, I pay my own trip. By the way, hello over there. Look at these. I mean, this is a hell of a place. This is a beautiful place. You know, it's interesting. I said the other day, I was talking to somebody, and then I talked to a reporter, good reporter, and I said, I don't think, for all of this self-funding, I don't think people even understand it. I don't think that most people appreciate the fact. I'm the only one, Democrat or Republican, that self-funds, right? And I'm saying, I don't know if it's appreciated. I don't know. Because it seems to be, but I can tell you, because I was on the other side of the spectrum for a long time. And I gave a lot of money over the years to politicians, the bloodsuckers, I call them. I gave a lot of money over the years. I gave $350,000 to the Republican Governors Association. I gave money to everyone. And by the way, as a business person, especially from the standpoint of countrywide, worldwide, you give to everybody. You want everybody to love you. You always do that. You have to. You have an obligation to your company, to your employees, to your family, to everybody. But I just wonder, self-funding, right? It does matter, doesn't it? Doesn't it? I think. Because I never understood whether or not the people really understand it, whether or not the people that do really get it. Because I want to tell you, when you're looking to pass legislation on oil or on drugs or on something, and I'll tell you a story that I heard recently. A friend of mine came up, and he's in the pharmaceutical business. And he said to me, and a very successful guy, he said to me, Donald, terrible thing happens. When the United States, which is the largest buyer of drugs, meaning drugs to make people better, prescription drugs, etc., everything, they don't negotiate the price. I said, what do you mean? They're the largest buyer in the world, but they don't negotiate the price. They buy things almost as though you went to your local drugstore and took it off the shelf. That's the price. And they said, how is that possible? Now, I immediately knew why. But if it weren't that way, if we did negotiate, let's say we did a favored nations clause, okay? Meaning the person that buys whatever drug for the lowest price during that year, that's the price the United States will pay, okay? Now, we should pay less. But at least if we do that, we'll save about $300 billion. No, can you believe that? No, can you believe that? One move. So you're talking about Medicare. You're talking about all this different, they're saying we can't do this, we can't do that. So somebody said, why is it? Now, I was even surprised at that. And I'm a pretty skeptical guy when it comes to politics and politicians, because I know politicians better than anybody in the world knows politics. Somebody said, well, Donald's not experienced. I said, experienced. I've been dealing with these guys all my life. I know them. So they said, how is it possible that something like that could happen? How is it possible? I said, very simple. The drug companies are massive donors to the politicians. So if you look at Johnson & Johnson and you look at these different companies, they give to the politicians. So what do the politicians do? No, you can't negotiate. You have to pay, effectively, you have to pay retail. It's so simple. That will end on day one, okay? That will end on day one. No, it's terrible. It's terrible. You know, government spending. People talk about budgets. The politicians, they talk about budgets. So government spending. Billions and billions and billions of dollars can be cut in hours. In hours. Yeah, sit down, folks. Relax. We're going to be here for a while. I'll be here so long. Hey, by the way, I came in. This is true. So we came in. I landed. We drove here from the airport. You have the most beautiful churches I've seen. I mean, these churches. Seriously. No. The churches, there were 3 or 4, they were so beautiful. So I almost wanted to just go in and pray. But I figured I'd be late and you wouldn't like that, okay? But you have, honestly, they're the most beautiful churches coming in. Speaking of that, Christianity, as you know, is under siege. It's under siege. We're not going to let it happen. We're not going to let it happen. You know, I've been telling people, we're going to start saying Merry Christmas again at Christmas. We're going to start saying it. We're going to start saying it. No, it's under siege. You know what happened? And I was with the pastors and ministers recently, and a whole group. There are a lot of endorsements. With the evangelicals, I'm leading nationwide in the polls. And people say, wow, Donald? They don't know. They don't understand. People don't understand. I have an unbelievable relationship. Jerry Falwell Jr. just endorsed me, which was a great endorsement. Pastor Jeffress he's a great guy. Pastor Jeffress, so many. But we're leading with we're number one with the evangelicals. And they want to have somebody that's going to protect the country. They want to have somebody that's going to make great trade deals. They want to have somebody that's going to get rid of Obamacare and do something, right? We have so many alternatives. I don't know if you've seen what's happened. Some of you have, because people come up to me, they're dropping it, they're leaving, they've lost a fortune. It's going to die in 17 anyway, unless the Republicans continue to extend it and feed it money. But people are going up 25, 35, 45% with the premiums. They're going up. And look at what's happening. They're not getting coverage. They're not getting proper care. I mean, it's so bad. It's so bad. It's not working. If you are run over by a truck, you probably won't be able to use your insurance. So we're going to get rid of it. We're going to replace it with something that's going to be great. But what happened with the churches is President Johnson put in a bill that really has everybody nervous, because it makes them a political entity. They lose their tax-exempt status. So they actually have less power than the people sitting here, because that doesn't happen to us. And I said, how could you let it happen? The church has such incredible power in this country if they used it, if they band together. But they don't band together, and I'm pretty sure they don't band together because they're afraid to lose their tax-exempt status. And I said to him recently, we had 50 ministers come up and pastors come up to my office. And we sat around, talked for 2 hours. It was amazing. It was so interesting. And I have such tremendous support with them. I say, folks, you have probably 250 million. You have a bigger lobby than women, and you have a bigger lobby than men. That's not bad, right? I said, and you don't have real power. If I would have said what I said, which a lot of people respect, and I say it with respect, when I talked about radical Islamic terrorism, and people respect it. We have a president that won't issue the term. He won't talk about it. You're never going to solve the problem unless you talk about it. But if I would have said that, talking about the Muslims, if I would have said the same things about Christians, I wouldn't have had the same uproar. It's hard to believe. The whole thing is ridiculous. We had a big uproar. A couple of you might have remembered that a couple of months ago, because things are going on, and I talk temporary, but things are going on that are bad. There's hatred that nobody's ever seen anything like this. When you fly planes into the World Trade Center, you fly planes into the Pentagon. The third plane, I have to tell you, these were brave people. They took it down, probably heading to the White House, they think. But there's an anger out there. When you look at Paris and you have these thugs walk in and kill 130 people, with many, many people in hospitals that are so gravely injured. Many more will die. When you look at California a few weeks ago with the radicalized couple, they say she radicalized him. Who cares? Where do these people come from? No, where do they come from? Where do they come from? And then President Obama yesterday goes to a mosque and he apologizes. I mean, what's going on? We have to, right? No, he goes in and he apologizes. And, you know, it's all fine, but we have to find out what's going on. When we have the migration, and you look at this, and it's very sad, and we should build safe centers. We should build safe zones in Syria. But we have a migration, and you look and you see so many young, strong men. And I say, where are the women and the children? Now you have, but you have in disproportionately small numbers. And then you have a president that wants to take them in by the thousands, and we don't know where they come from, who they are. It may be a Trojan horse. It may be ISIS. Nobody knows, okay? Nobody knows. And we're taking in thousands and thousands and thousands of people. And the real numbers are far greater than the numbers you're talking about. And you know what? We all have hearts. We want it to be good. I want to build safe zones. I want to have, if up to me, let somebody else pay for it for a change. The Gulf states are making a fortune, right? Saudi Arabia, before the oil went down, now they'll make a little bit less, maybe half. They were making $1 billion a day. Think of it, $1 billion a day, and we pay for everything. We protect Saudi Arabia. We protect so many countries. You know, we protect Germany, nobody knows. We protect Japan. Japan has a treaty with us. If we get attacked, they don't have to do anything. If they get attacked, we have to start World War III, okay? This is the way. No, all our deals. We don't make good deals. We don't win anymore. We don't win. We never have victory. When was the last time we had a victory? So we predict, he said World War II. That's actually pretty good. I have to remember. Who said that? Stand up. Stand up. It's very good. That was very good. That was impressive, I have to say. But it's about that. You're about right. You're about right. No, I mean, we've had some, but we haven't had many. We certainly don't have many victories anymore. Okay, well, that's good. You better vote for me. Speaking of that, will you please get out? You got to vote. That's going to be a biggie. I'll tell you this, you won't be sorry. Think of this, though. Think of this. So we protect South Korea. We have 28,000 soldiers right now on the line between North and South Korea. We have the maniac over there, you know, talking about nuclear. Every time he raises his head, we start sending our ships over. Now, I like South Korea. I have buildings in South Korea. I do great with South Korea. I have many, many people. I like China. But they kill us, okay, because their leaders are much smarter than our leaders. But we have the greatest business people in the world. We just don't use them. We use political hacks. But South Korea, take it. We use political hacks to negotiate our deals. It's unbelievable. Total, all talk, no action. These guys know. I like, whoever the hell this group is, I like this group. Good girl. So, we have 28,000 soldiers. We protect South Korea. Every time I order huge amounts of television sets for different jobs, thousands and thousands. I get them from South Korea. It is a absolute behemoth. They make a fortune. Why are we doing this? I mean, I want to do it. I want to protect them. But we're a debtor nation. We owe $19 trillion. $19 trillion. Nobody even knows what the hell the word trillion means. If I asked even the smart, how many millions are in a trillion? How many hundred millions? How many billions is in a trillion? It's so out of control. People don't even know. Even the top smartest people, they don't even know. We owe $19 trillion. We have now, with that stupid budget deal that was approved 3 weeks ago, that got approved so fast by the Republicans. It got approved. How long did it take? A half a day? So we have a budget deal. You know, we send these people to Washington. They sound tough. We're going to fight Obamacare. We're going to fight for this. We're going to fight for that. We're going to take care of our vets, which nobody cares about except Trump. We're going to take care. No, think of it. We send them to Washington. They're going to take care of the vets. They're going to do all these things. They get there and something happens to them. They look at the beautiful, I always say, they look at those beautiful marble columns. They look at the floors. They look at the angels in the ceiling. And they say to the husband and the wife, darling, we finally made it. We're never leaving. And then they say, are you voting for Obamacare? And they go, yes, I'm voting for Obamacare. It's crazy. Something happens. Something's in the water in Washington, D.C. Something happened. But isn't it really disappointing? Okay, so here it is. So you have this man on the to the right in a different sense. But you have this man who's a maniac, perhaps. And you got to give him credit on one thing. The guy's a young guy. He's dealing with these generals. His father dies, and he maintains control. Well, it's something going there. You know, when they don't underestimate a guy like that. Do not underestimate. Right? Does everyone know what I mean? Because plenty of guys, I assume, want to take control. The father dies, the kid is young, the kid takes over. Do not underestimate that kind of talent. Now they'll say, oh, I like him. I don't like him at all. Just don't underestimate. Vladimir Putin said the other day, Donald Trump is a genius, he's the leader, and he's going to be the leader in the United States. He made a statement. He made a statement. No. The people I'm running against, the Republicans, said, that's terrible that he said that. You have to denounce that statement. Denounce it immediately. You have to denounce. I said, you think I'm going to denounce a fact that a guy's calling me like great and I'm going to denounce? Are you crazy? Are you crazy? Trust me, he won't get any more. He won't do better or worse by saying it. But wouldn't it be nice if we could get along with Russia? Wouldn't it be nice if we could get along? Wouldn't it be nice if we could use Russia to knock the hell out of ISIS with us? Wouldn't it be nice? You know, right? No, but honestly, wouldn't it be great? I love you too, man. Even like it's a guy, but I love him. Whoever the hell, who is that guy? Let me see. Good man. I like that guy. So, no, but wouldn't it be nice? Seriously. You know, I read the other day where the military is having a hard time buying bombs because they're so unbelievably expensive. Probably they do the same thing as with the drugs. Yeah, whatever it is, we'll pay, right? Because, again, the defense contractors are big contributors, right? I haven't even started this, folks. Believe me, I'll figure it out like in about 2 seconds. Think of it. They can't get the bombs, they can't get the missiles because they're so expensive. So wouldn't it be nice if we can use Russia and they use some of their bombs and their missiles? We don't have to pay for it. So that's what's going to happen. That's what's going to happen. I think we'll get along fine. I think we'll get along fine. And we have to stop being the policeman for the entire world, most of which hates our guts. Hates our guts. I mean, you think about it. Look what we did. We go into Iraq, which, by the way, you know, Saddam Hussein, this was not a nice guy, but he had one thing that he really liked doing. He killed terrorists, okay? He killed terrorists. And he didn't have weapons of mass destruction, by the way, in case anybody doesn't know. So we go in, and I said, somebody said, Jeb Bush said, Donald Trump's tone is not nice. My tone. They're chopping off, he's low energy. They're chopping off the heads of Christians in the Middle East and many other people. And we're supposed to have a nice tone, okay? We're supposed to have a wonderful tone. Well, ladies and gentlemen, isn't it nice? The world is an evil place. You have to understand, the world is tough right now. This is like medieval times. You know, when we read about medieval times, they used to chop off heads. I never heard of chopping off heads until recently. James Foley, remember James, the great, beautiful James Foley, with his parents are great people, but they started chopping off heads. Where do we hear? These are people that are animals, and we got to end it. We got to knock the hell out of them, and fast. So we have to stop Saddam Hussein. So in 2003, 2004, that area. I'm a job producer. I do great jobs. I do really good stuff. I have a great statement. I did a wonderful job. When I put in my papers, everyone went crazy. They were hoping they wouldn't look good. They were much bigger than anybody ever thought. Very low debt. Some of the greatest developments in the world. Turnberry in Scotland. Doral in Miami. I mean, some of the great buildings of the world. A big chunk of the Bank of America building in San Francisco. Buildings in New York. The press looked, these people right back here, look at all those cameras. They looked. By the way, they'll never show that audience behind them. Oh, would I like you? Will you show the audience behind you, please? 10,000 people. Oh, look, he's turning. I love it. I love it. Whoa, I love it. He turned the cameras. He turned the camera. Wow. I don't believe it. Did you see what they did? They turned the damn cameras. They did it. They never do it. Fellas, thank you very much. That was very nice. That never happens. I don't think it's ever happened. I always go home and my wife, she sees me on television because I got all this live television. They don't take me. I mean, every event, it's live television. Someday I'd like to do one without cameras. We can talk. But, of course, if the cameras aren't here, that means bad things are happening too, right? That means nobody cares. That would be no good. But every time I go home, my wife says to me, darling, were there many people there? Yeah, I say 10,000. 10,000. Oh, didn't you see that? No. They only show your face. They never move it. And then I always talk about the protesters. I say, I love protesters because the only time they move the cameras is when there's a protester because that's supposed to be a bad thing. So I love protesters. And I said, I'm going to start creating my own protesters, okay? I'll be honest. They all turned, or most of them. That guy on the right didn't turn. I don't know why the hell he didn't turn. That guy right there. Right there. You're right. But no, honestly, we've done a lot of these. We've had tremendous audience, you have over 10,000 people today. And look at the people still pouring in. It's crazy. Folks, it's a movement. I'm telling you, this isn't like, other guys come here, other candidates come here. There's like 112 people, 59 people. I mean, Jeb Bush has spent $112 million and nobody shows up. What the hell? And he spends a lot of it on negative ads on me. And he goes ad after ad after ad. I say, oh, man, I hope people don't think they're my ad. And then it goes up. He does negative ads. Look, we have something special happening. There's a movement going on. We're going to take our country back. That's what we're going to do. And we're going to run our country intelligently. And we're actually going to have, because, a lot of people laugh when I say it, but I mean it. I'm a unifier. I bring people together. We have a president who's a divider. He's a very divisive person. I am a unifier. We are going to bring people together. This country is totally disjointed. Everybody hates everybody. And people are going to be surprised. And they are. You will see. Our country's going to come together. We have a movement going on that hasn't been seen. It was on the cover of Time magazine last week. Great story, right? Great story. Written by somebody that never called me. He never called me. I said, I finally found out how to handle the press. Don't speak to him. Because when I talk to him, I get lousy stories all the time. It's incredible. But if I don't, this guy, he's a great writer. Great writer because he wrote a great story. But he is. He's known as a brilliant writer. And you should get it, the one last week. He talked about the fact that we have something going on that hasn't happened in this country in many, many years. And some people say it's never happened in the country. There's never been anything like this. I go to Dallas. We have a stadium like this. We have 20,000 people where the Mavericks play. I go to Mobile, Alabama. We love Alabama, right? Right? They do have a good football team, right? You have to admit. No. We have to be truthful. We can respect somebody. We can respect. There's nothing wrong. But no. But I go to Mobile, Alabama. We have 35,000 people. We go twice now to Oklahoma, 20,000 people. All over New Hampshire, we have the biggest crowds. The biggest crowds. All over, no matter where we go, we have the biggest crowds. And there's something happening. Well, she said you can't stop. You can stop. You know how we can stop? If they don't vote. If we have people. The question is, do people get up and vote? You know, it's the weirdest thing. They stand outside for 4 or 5 hours to come in. And the only question, because now we're going to see, you know, without the caucus stuff, and I think we did great in Iowa, you know, I really do. I think we did. I think we did great. I mean, the people of Iowa are tremendous. We had an amazing time there, and I really, you know, a lot of people said, don't go to Iowa, skip Iowa, start in New Hampshire. And New Hampshire were doing really well, but start in New Hampshire. I said, no, but I like Iowa, and I like the people, and I have a lot of friends that live in Iowa. No, we'll go to Iowa. And I think we should have come in first, to be honest with you. A lot of things happened there. A lot of things happened. A lot of things happened there. But isn't it funny? I came in a strong second. Third was quite a distance away, although they said about Marco, who was the third. Oh, he was so close. Close. It was over 2,000 votes, which, you know, we're not talking about huge numbers. Two things happened. Number one, it was the largest vote in the history of Iowa for the Republicans, right? The largest total, I think 180,000, which was, and I got, other than the one who was a double candidate, you know, it's two candidates for one. I got the largest vote outside of the one candidate. I got the largest vote ever in the history of it. You know, so and I've never done this before. I'm not a politician. So, but think of it. Think of it. So the person that came in third, they said, unbelievable result. Unbelievable. This is a huge victory. But I came in second, and they said, Trump didn't do so well. I'd say, why did I? But you see, I don't think I did come in second. I think I came in first, okay? I'll be honest. But honestly, it doesn't matter. I got a lot of delegates, and it really doesn't matter because my total focus now is on New Hampshire. And then next week, my total focus is going to be right here in South Carolina. So we are going to create borders. This country has people coming in, and a lot of them are the wrong. And I just saw this statistic today. It came in yesterday in Congress. 179,000. You know what that is? That's like Yankee Stadium filled up 3 or 4 times. 179,000 fugitive criminal aliens, right? These are people that were convicted of a crime, okay? Convicted. Some of them very serious crimes. We have them now in our country. We don't even send them out. Get them out. Yeah, we're going to get them out. We're going to get them out. No, we're going to get them out. And we're going to send them back where they came from. We're not putting them in our jail for 40 years. Look, countries are sending people here that, you know, they're smart. Why do they want to take care of them for years and years with their systems in jail? It's expensive. We're sending them back, and they're never coming back. We're going to have strong borders. Our Border Patrol people are fantastic, and we're going to build a wall, okay? Remember, we're going to build a wall. Going to build it. I always get a kick out of this. Are you ready? And who's going to pay for the wall? So easy. It's so easy. You know, we have a trade deficit with Mexico that's so huge. It's so big. Or as Donald Trump would say, it's so huge. It is so massive. And again, these politicians, I'm not going to reveal names because a lot of them I really like and all. But they're never going to get you to the promised land, folks. None of them. I know them all. They're not. It's not their thing. It's not their thing. So they come up to me. You can't build a wall, really, can you? Wall. You know, that's so easy. It's so easy. I know exactly what it's going to look like. It's so easy. China has a wall. Think of this. Built 2,000 years ago. That's 18,000 miles long. That's a wall. Now that one, I'd say, maybe we don't build. That's like going across the United States. Somebody said, are we going to build a wall on our northern border? Well, that's a pretty big wall. How about 4 times that length is China? The Great Wall of China, 18,000 miles long. Can you imagine that? They built it 2,000 years ago. And this is a wall that's a big wall. I've seen it. This is a serious wall. This is not a wall that they drive the Jeeps across with the ramps, or like our wall. You know, we have little walls that are like this. They're like for children. They actually do. They build ramps. I don't know why they don't just rip it down. It's easier, right? But they build ramps, and there's pictures in the magazine. I saw it, I think, in Time magazine, where a Jeep loaded up with drugs goes, they build this ramp. Up, down, sell the drugs to us, goes to New Hampshire where they have a huge problem. They have a huge problem. You have a huge problem. Everybody in the country has a huge problem. They go up, they go down, they come back. So we get the drugs, and they get the cash. No good. Not going to happen anymore. Not going to happen anymore. Not going to happen anymore. And, you know, importantly, we have people so addicted because you get into the heroin and it's cheap and they're so addicted, and getting out of it, getting out of that addiction is a tremendous problem. We're going to help people. We have to help people. But the best way to stop, the best way is if they don't start and if they can't get it. And we're going to make it so tough. We're going to make it so tough. But these politicians come up to me, and they're politicians, and they say to me, seriously, how, you're not going to get Mexico to pay. They always say this. They say, you're not going to be able to get Mexico to pay. How are you going to do that? And I say, it's easy. The deficit is so big. They make so much money. We give them a lot of money on top of everything else, which is hard to believe. We give them a lot of money. We have the wall is peanuts compared to the numbers you're talking about. They go, oh, I didn't know that. These are not people that are going to get you there. So, Carl Icahn endorsed me. He's a great businessman. Many of the great businessmen endorse me, and they want to be involved. They don't want money. They don't want to have, they're not political. These are great people. These are great. Now, some are nice, some aren't nice. Who the hell cares, right? Do we care? Some you wouldn't want to go to dinner with you in the beautiful red sweater. You wouldn't want any part of them, although they're so rich. I don't know. Is that your husband there? No? Do you know the guy next to you? Oh, then you probably wouldn't mind dinner with a guy who's worth $10 billion. Who knows? But we have the greatest business people in the world. We don't use them. We use these political hacks, people that gave contributions to get jobs. We use people that have no talent. We use people that actually have conflicts of interest when they negotiate. They like China. They have deals. I mean, we are the worst. We are led by people that are stupid. We are led by people that are incompetent. And we can't keep going. We can't keep going. Every year, the 19 trillion, 20 trillion, at what point does it stop? And, I said to a few of the politicians, they were saying, we have a plan on the budget. They were telling me they think they can balance the budget over the next 25 years. I said, 25 years? Man, that's a long time. 25 years. And they're talking about 25 years. Okay. So we're going to make our country so strong. We're going to build up our military. You know, it's very depleted. Very depleted. It's very depleted. And it has to be, because last quarter, we announced practically no growth. We were essentially no growth. Do you know when China announces 7% growth? We haven't had 7% growth in many, many years. When China announces 7% growth, it's like a catastrophe for China. We have no growth. Our last quarter, no growth. Think of that. Think of what that means. That means horror show. Our exports this month and the last couple of months are now negative. They went way down. Lowest since the recession. Which means one thing, you're going to have a big recession. It's coming. We're in a bubble. We're in an ugly, ugly bubble. And you see it now with the stock market starting to happen. Because the only good sign, the 5% stuff is nonsense, the unemployment rate. Because if you're looking for a job and you've tried so hard and you go here and there, you can't find it. Okay? So now you go and you quit. You just say, I can't do it anymore. I just saw 200 places. I can't do it. So you give up. You are statistically considered employed. In other words, you are now taken off. That's why they give these phony numbers. The real unemployment rate is over 25%. And I'll tell you something. If it were really 5%, like they say it is, which is a number devised by the politicians to make them look good, before Obama, long before Obama, it makes them look good. Hey, if I win, it's going to make me look great. But you know what? It's a number devised because they don't count people that look for jobs. They can't find them. They're not counted. How can you not count them? You have tens of millions of people that can't find jobs. I will tell you, if that number were correct, we wouldn't have a stadium like this full of people. Right? We wouldn't have it. It wouldn't be. It wouldn't be. So, it wouldn't be. I talk about the way we deal. I talk about all of the things we do. We have, and I use examples. And you know what? You don't have to use lots of different examples. I can. But there are some that are so egregious. Sergeant Bergdahl, a traitor, right? He's a traitor. He's a dirty, rotten traitor, by the way. So Sergeant Bergdahl, he's a traitor. He left. He walked. He thought he was going to have a wonderful life, you know, celebrating whatever they celebrate. So he leaves. We lose 6 people. Get killed. Great, young, beautiful soldiers. I see their parents. Great, young, beautiful soldiers. Get killed. They go out and they're looking and they get killed. Probably viciously killed. They're dead. Right? We get Bergdahl back. Now, we had a general and a colonel, and they were interviewing everybody. They knew he was a traitor. It wasn't like, oh, they made a mistake. You know, you can see that you wouldn't like that. How can you be that stupid? But this is far worse. We knew he was a traitor. So our deal is, we get Bergdahl, and they get 5 killers that they've coveted, that they've wanted for 9 years. And they're now all out, back on the battlefield, trying to kill us all. What kind of a deal is this? What kind of people would make a deal like this? The other is, I talk about it all the time because it's almost not even understandable. It's so ridiculous. The deal with Iran. We give them $150 billion. We get nothing. We have a negotiator named John Kerry, Secretary of State. No, it's so sad. Every time I talk, I don't even believe it can be possible. And he doesn't ever walk from the negotiation. He's got a negotiation. He doesn't walk from the They are dancing in the streets all over Iran at the Great Deal. They're burning the American flag. They're saying how stupid we are because the deal is so good. And the deal hasn't been made yet. That was 6 months ago. Remember, they're all dancing. I said, this deal wasn't made yet, right? Who the hell would go back and just keep negotiating like nothing's happening? And you have, as Obama calls him, the supreme leader. I will never call him the supreme leader, folks. Never. Not the supreme. You ever hear Obama? We have spoken to the supreme leader. I say, what? So, you have a deal that is, I always said until 2 weeks ago, because I thought of a worse one. You have a deal where they get 150 billion. Did you see where they spent all that money? In Europe and with Russia and with other countries, everybody but us. They bought 118 Airbuses, right? 118, not Boeing, Airbus, made in Europe. They bought missiles from Russia. They're negotiating with Italy. They're negotiating with everybody but the United States. The poor United States, what are we doing? And then Kerry 2 weeks ago says, yes, we expect some of that money will be used for terror, but we haven't been able to see it yet. Oh, that's good. If he thinks terror, why the hell does he give them the money? Right? Did you see that? 2 weeks ago, he's talking about, yes, we expect some of the money will be used for terror. Is this man a dummy or what? What are we doing? Now that deal, and I say this, we should never, ever have given them that money, and we should never have started that negotiation unless we had our prisoners back. Ever. Ever. And what you do, just, it's pretty simple. It's like 101. Any one of these people that I'm talking about that will be negotiating would have said this as fast as I would say it. What you do is you go and you say, we need our prisoners back. 3-4 years ago. Did you ever see a deal take so long? It went forever. You know why? They just kept saying no, no, no. And we just kept saying, okay, okay, okay. Anyway, the deal went like 3 years, 4 years. I never saw a deal take so long. And we never walked. We never once walked out of the room. I said, boy, would this be a good time to walk. Because so often it was so bad. And you saw what was happening because it was being covered by the media. And you saw what was happening. I'd say, why can't they walk? It would make Obama look so good if they actually got up and walked. Right, Lieutenant Governor? What a great guy, by the way. What a great guy. What a family. What a family. Did you introduce your wife yet? The boss of the family. Stand up. This is a great woman. This is the real boss right here. Look. Great couple. Great people, really great people, and I appreciate. How do you like his commercial? Did you hear it? Did everybody hear it? Not that many people heard it. What's going on? Did people hear the commercial? I think it's great. I told him, I said, Henry, I actually moved my voice because it said, I endorse this commercial. You have to say that as a matter of law. I didn't know that. And I didn't like my voice compared to his voice. His voice is so beautiful. I said, do me a favor, move it to the front instead of the back. I didn't like it. Okay. But with the Iran deal, what happens is you go in and you say, got to have the prisoners. They'll say no. You leave. No big deal. You leave. They're desperate. They need money. Their economy's crashing. It's a disaster over there, or it was. Now they're rich as hell. You say, we need the money. We got to have our prisoners. They'll say no. You walk out. You say, bye-bye. Bye. Enjoy your crashed economy. Enjoy your depression. Enjoy your depression, folks. They'll call within, I always say 48 hours, but I usually mean 24 hours. I usually mean 2 hours. Probably don't even get on the plane. And they'll say, you have your prisoners. When the prisoners land, you go in for seconds, right? And seconds are the following. Folks, my father always used to say, take the lumps out. He thought I was too, He had a son that was high energy. Had a son high energy as opposed to Jeb. No. But my father used to say, son, take the lumps out. Too tough. Take the So, in the old days, I would have gone and say, you're not getting the money. Nah, it's too tough, right? You force them to do things. It's not good. So I would have said the following, fellas, we got a problem. We owe $19 trillion. We have another $2 trillion because we had idiots approve budgets that don't know what they're doing. So we're $21 trillion. We don't have the money. We don't have it. There's nothing we can do about it. We won't be able to give you the $150 billion. They'll go nuts. But within 2-3 days later, they'll come back. Oh, now we saved $150 billion. It's easy. Now we get down to negotiate. We make a deal. Okay, because I love the idea of making deals on nuclear. Nuclear is very important. We have to do something with nuclear. Nuclear is a whole big, crazy deal. And we have to. And we have to be very vigilant. And we have to be very careful. And we have to make sure that the wrong people don't get. And if we think somebody's got it, we got to really act. We can't just... Do you ever notice, like in North Korea, they talk about Iran. Now, in all fairness to Iran, Iran doesn't have nuclear. They will after this deal. They don't even have to make it. They can buy it for all the money they have. But they don't have... But the guy in Korea, do you ever have something like homework? it's so unpleasant you don't want to think about it, right? Well, do you ever notice we never talk about North Korea? He's actually got nuclear. We don't talk. You know why? We don't talk. China has to take care of that problem. And if China doesn't take care of that problem, we have to hurt them on trade because they suck so much money out of our system. They suck our jobs. They take so much out. I love the Chinese. They're great friends of mine. I make a fortune with them. I tell people the largest bank in the world is a tenant of mine in Manhattan. It's from China. I sell condominiums for tens of millions of dollars to the Chinese. They're great. But like the Mexico leaders, like the Japanese leaders, the Chinese leaders are too smart for our people. They're too smart for our leaders. Our leaders don't have a clue. They don't even have a clue. They devalue their currency. Our leaders, like the new trade deal, where they don't even talk about devaluation. That's the number one thing they do, and it's not even discussed. That's why I'm so against the new trade deal. And watch, China, which isn't a part of the trade deal, will come in at a later date through the back door, and they'll take advantage of us like they always do. Because we have people that are not the right people negotiating our deals. Just like when we had Kerry and these clowns that negotiated our deal with Iran. So what we have is we have a deal now where they get the money, where they have 24 days for inspection. So in other words, we call up, we think that we want to inspect because we hear missiles are being built in a certain area. So they have 24 days. But the clock doesn't start ticking. We have to go through a whole process. So the 24 days could be much, much longer than that. But the greatest is where they have a zone where they self-inspect. They self-inspect. Now think of it. We call up, as President Obama would say, we call up the Supreme Leader. Supreme Leader, sir, Obama, sir, I hear you're making missiles. Would you please self-inspect and let us know whether or not there's any nuclear being made in that? Please tell us. So would you please tell us whether or not there's any nuclear being made in that area? And as you know, in our agreement, you will self-inspect. Oh, yes, we'll call you back tomorrow. Call back. No. How ridiculous. No. Oh, good. Then Obama will go, oh, that's wonderful news. What are we doing, folks? What the hell are we doing? What the hell are we doing? So I said, they said, look behind me. Go ahead. Beautiful young people that love this country. Remember that. Right? So I talk about the deal with Iran because it's almost unbelievable. And I said, that's the greatest deal I think I've ever seen. And then I said, wait a minute. It's not. The greatest deal, 2 weeks ago I started saying this, is Iran is going to take over Iraq. Iraq has the largest oil reserves in the world, second in the world. Among the richest, I mean, you never saw beautiful oil, and I mean the best, highest quality. That's Iraq. Now, Iran, and I said this in 2003, 2004, Reuters. Don't do it, you'll destabilize, and I'm the most militaristic person in this room, I will tell you, okay? Believe me, nobody's going to mess with us. We're going to be strong, we're going to be powerful, and nobody's going to mess. And hopefully, we're not going to have to use that power. But you know, when you're strong, and you're really, really strong, and people know it, and you have the right leader, they're not going to mess with you, babe. They're not going to mess. It's going to be over. Right now, they're toying. They toy with us. You look at it, China toys with us. They build in the South China Sea a phenomenal, I mean, it's incredible. It's a fort with runways for planes, for bombers, for everything. They don't care about us. They don't care about us. We can't even put up a wall. And they're building a thing. And you know, by the way, one of the reasons we didn't build a wall, 15 years ago, we couldn't get the environmental impact statement. Do you believe it? No, it's true. They couldn't get an environment because there were snakes, toads, and all sorts of stuff. They're going to build a wall this way to avoid to avoid red-eye snail. Well, that'll cost about $2 billion more. Just do a few turns. There's a snake in the way. There's a rattlesnake. It's very rare. Let's move the wall about a mile left and give a little turn. You have a wall that looked like a pretzel. So China, in the South China Sea, is building a massive military compound with runways and everything. And you know what they do? Environmental impact statements, right? They have the biggest excavators you've ever seen. And they're ripping the hell out of the ocean. They're ripping and they're dumping and they're ripping and it's almost finished. And they do it. They supposed to do it? No. Do they have any respect for us? No. Did they suck us dry on trade? Yes. They've taken so many jobs, millions of jobs, thousands and thousands of factories. And they're great. I don't mind. You know what? It's okay. I'm angry at our people. I'm not angry at them. If they can get away with it, it's great. I'm not upset with them. I'm upset with the people that we have that allowed our country to be savaged like this. So the greatest deal I've ever seen is what Iran did, where they're taking over Iraq. Now, if you think of it, watch. I've been really good at this stuff. I was the first one. I said, bomb the oil, bomb the oil, bomb the oil. Who got the oil? A lot of it. ISIS. ISIS got the oil. I've been saying, you know, because some of you have listened, right? Bomb the oil. Everybody said, and then they actually interviewed on one of the networks about a year ago, one of the generals. Mr. Trump is very insistent on bombing the oil. Oh, well, that would never work, bombing the oil. You know, we have generals, they go on talk shows all the time. Do you think General George Patton would have been big on the talk shows? He would have had this war over before he had a chance to go from his base to the studio where they filmed the talk show. So that's the way it is, folks. We're in bad, bad shape. What's going to happen now is we have created a monster power with Iran. Iran takes over Iraq. They've got it. They've already got it. And, you know, people say, oh, they haven't. Well, they have got it. And Iraq now is looking to Iran for protection. The whole thing is crazy. The whole thing is crazy. But now they take over Yemen. They don't want Yemen. But they want the border between Saudi Arabia because they want to take over the oil in Saudi Arabia. Now, Saudi Arabia is very rich. Saudi Arabia needs our protection. They got to pay us. They got to give us something. They got to give us something, folks. We don't have the money. I want to protect you. I want to take care of you. I want to work with you. Our country doesn't have the money to keep doing this. So we're protecting South Korea for peanuts, for nothing. We're protecting Saudi Arabia. It makes $1 billion a day before the price. So now it makes $500 million a day. Not so bad. But was making a year ago $1 billion a day. And we protect them. And when we send our ships, you turn those suckers on, it costs you $1 million, right? You turn on the engines. We protect them. Every time there's a problem, we protect everybody. We protect South Korea. He starts up. He starts talking. We immediately start sending our ships, our planes. We get nothing. We get nothing. I want to protect, but we can't do it anymore. We don't have the money. Now, if they want to pay us substantial money, I want to protect them. But we can't do it. 28,000 soldiers on the border? Why are we doing this? And those soldiers are in serious danger, okay, just so you understand. They are in serious, serious danger. We're protecting Germany. Everybody has a Mercedes-Benz. We're protecting Germany. It's a behemoth, an economic behemoth. We're protecting them. I love them. My father came from Germany. But you know what? They got to help us out. We want at least cost. We can't keep doing this. We can't keep doing this. And then people wonder, why do we have 19 trillion in debt? And why are we doing so poorly? So, look, we have a very, very big day coming for you folks very soon. We have a really big day on the 9th up in New Hampshire. Then we come down here. 10 days later, we go with you. We got to win. I promise you one thing. I don't want your money. I don't want your money. I don't want anything. Just want your vote. You got to get out and vote. You got to get out and vote. Because if you don't get out and vote, we've all wasted a lot of time, energy, in my case, money, I don't care. But we've wasted tremendous time, tremendous amounts of energy, and our country is going to hell, and we've got to stop it. So ladies and gentlemen of South Carolina, look, it's very simple. We are going to start winning again. We're going to win on trade. We're going to win with the military. We're going to win with our vets. Our vets are going to be taken care of. We're going to win with health care. We're going to win with health care. We're going to get rid of Common Core, which is a total disaster for education. We're going to protect our Second Amendment, which is so vital to protect. So vital. We're going to have, thank you, man. We're going to have strong borders again. We're going to have the wall. People are going to come into our country, but they're coming into our country legally through a legal process. We are going to win, and we're going to win a lot. And ideally, we're going to win all the time. We have all the cards. If we go with a Hillary or this character Bernie or any of these people, I'm telling you, we're going to be so deep, we're going to be in such trouble, it's never going to come back. So, are you ready? The American dream. Right now, the American dream is dead, but we're going to make it bigger and better and stronger than ever before. We're going to make America great again. Henry and Peggy, thank you. Thank you. We love the people of South Carolina. Get out and vote. Get out and vote. Thank you. Thank you.